Oh, we're back with Sweet Leanne. Yeah. You know, pumpkins are great decoration this time of year, but they're great for cooking and baking. First thing I do is go for the seeds.
Yes.
And then while I'm roasting the pumpkin meat, then I roast my seeds as well.
Yes.
And that's where we start with the puree to make your sweet cookies.
And you know, my boys, ironically, just got introduced to the seeds. They were doing pumpkins the other day. Well, they were trying to blow them up, they're boys. They weren't trying to cook with them. And so I was like, save the seeds, we roast those. They're like, oh, okay. So yeah,
so something new for them.
Now they're introduced to that. But yeah, fresh pumpkin is awesome. Of course, right now you can get it in the can as well. I prefer fresh pumpkin. It's easy. You can put them in the microwave, you can put them in the oven, and just take it out and puree it, and it's just, you know, so much fresher.
You show us all the time how easy it is to make things that we usually turn to a box for.
It is. And the same thing for pumpkin cookies. Pretty much everything you probably have at home. If not, you know, you can definitely run to the grocery store and get it. It's nothing, you know, in here that's fancy that you have to go to a specialty store for.
All right. So, well, you've got your stand mixer, and if you don't have one, we can do this with a hand mixer, right?
We can do this with a hand mixer. It's not difficult at all. We've already done your dry mix. Dry mix again, about 2 cups of flour, and then put in your spices. I like to use a little bit of cinnamon, nutmeg, a little bit of ginger, in that, and then your baking soda, salt for the rising.
All the seasonings that feel like fall.
Absolutely,
taste like fall.
absolutely.
Yep, so that's mixed together.
So that's already mixed together. Right. We already have a cup and a half of sugar, and then we're going to add in our cup of butter.
Are you using granulated sugar?
Granulated sugar. You can use a brown sugar. I prefer not to in this one, but sometimes people will do a half and half, and almost kind of gives it that molassy
molasses taste with that. Especially if you use dark brown sugar.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can cut it in half and use half sugar and half of the brown sugar if you prefer. Same recipe though. So get that blended nice and well. And once that's blended, we just add in, it's just 1 egg for this recipe. And again, you can see the size of the cookies that I have here. You can make them smaller.
No, we don't want to make them smaller.
I like that size cookie.
That's a good size cookie.
For it. But again, just from periodically, just scrape your sides, always just making sure we get all the ingredients all mixed in together for that.
Because baking is a process.
It is a process, absolutely. So we don't want to rush it, because if you rush it to try to get it in the oven, it's not going to come out at all.
It's chemistry.
It is. A little bit of vanilla. And in my recipe, I actually zested an orange. Oh, okay. And so it just brings out the flavors. That's all it does, is help bring out the flavors for that. And you don't taste it as far as the rinds inside there breaks down.
But that's where all the oils and the essence of the flavor is in the zest. And
it kind of gives you, when you taste something and you're like, what is that flavor in there? You know, that's the flavor for that one. So just mix that in, and then we have about a cup of the puree pumpkin that we're gonna dump in for that. And then that's your base for all of your liquid stuff right there. That's it. And like I said, everything, you know, you pretty much have at home. If not, if you don't have the pumpkin at home, you know, you can certainly buy that. But other than that, you should have pretty much everything else there.
That's great.
For that. And again, just stir it around, make sure we got everything together. And then you can add in slowly your dry mix. Because
we want it to blend without the lumps.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And again, this is where the patience in the kitchen comes in.
Yes, a lot of patience. So sometimes, you know, when we have the kids doing it, this is the part where, you know, they go off and play now.
Yeah. And while we're doing this, we want to probably already have been preheating the oven. Preheating is so important to baking things correctly.
Absolutely, especially with cookies, cakes, because what tends to happen is you say, okay, it's 10 minutes in the oven or 15 minutes in the oven, but you didn't preheat your oven. And so it's preheating for that 10 minutes versus cooking it. And your cookies will tend to
flatten out,
and you'll have more of a bark than you will have a cookie for it. So blend that all nicely together. Now when this comes out, there's 2 different ways you can go with this. My kids do not like nuts. Okay. They just do not. So you already have your batter. There you go. It's very simple. At this point, you can add in what you want. So what I do at home is I take half of it out. I put half of it with just chocolate chips.
Which I'm sure the boys love.
Which they love. And then the other half I will take out and we'll have pecans in those.
Okay.
So if you don't like nuts, if you're allergic to nuts, you know, you don't have to put those in. You can put different creations in there that you prefer doing for it. And then if you hand me actually the spatula back.
So you can mix.
And then we'll just mix that together.
And I know you've got a batch in the oven. Let's see, I'm going to reach back because you want to show us how to frost them.
Absolutely, get those out.
Fortunately, they've been in here a while, so the oven is not hot.
They're not hot. And so, yeah, just drop them on there like that. And again, whatever ingredients you want to add to it afterwards is fine for it.
And they're going to bake for how long?
Bake for probably about maybe 7 to 10 minutes for it, again, on 325.
Okay, what's in your icing?
Very simple. You have all the ingredients at home. It is butter, it's milk, and then confectioner's sugar. You might not have the confectioner's sugar, but if you're a baker, you have confectioner's sugar.
I have big bags of confectioner's sugar.
You have big bags. Mix it together. Again, if you want it thinner, you're just going to add that little bit more of milk. If you want it thicker, you just add a little bit more confectioner's sugar. Take your spoon.
And you're going to drizzle.
And then you can drizzle on there sometimes.
And you want to wait for these to cool before you ice, right? Yes,
absolutely cool. Sometimes what my kids like to do is this and
I'm with them. I'm with them.
And then we have a nice glaze on top of it. So whichever way.
Right. Well, we're going to put this recipe online for you. Just go to WTBR.com/VTM. About 2 o'clock this afternoon or later, it'll be there for you. Thank you, sweet Leanne.
Absolutely.
We're going to eat cookies. Greg, we're going to send it on over to you.